Hello, University 101 students. I hope you're back in the swing of things after spring break. Please don't forget to email me for attendance credit for both the last class, March 18th, and this coming class, March 25th. Make sure that you email me the specific information that I requested at the end of last week's email for March 18th credit, and then email me the specific information that I will request at the end of this week's video. So please make sure that you do that, because each of those emails is 150 points worth of attendance credit, or I should say the opportunity not to lose 150 points worth of attendance credit. So in order to prevent yourself from losing 150 points or even 300 points, make sure you send me both those emails for both those videos to make sure that I know that you have watched them and get your attendance credit. Okay? I don't want you to lose points, so send me those emails and I will make sure to verify that I got your email as well. Thank you, and we'll move on to the next segment of this video. As you know, we are not having class again this week, even though all university classes that meet once a week are still being held, but ours is not meeting because I'm the assessment coordinator for the English department, and therefore I have other duties throughout the day on assessment day, attending meetings, proctoring tests, and so forth. So that means we will not be meeting, and I know you're jumping for joy, but I'm not, because I do miss you. But make sure that you note that we do not have class. So don't go. Instead, you should be watching this video. Quick foot update. The MRI showed that I had a tear, or not really a tear, but sort of a strain in one of my ligaments, and then I have a hairline fracture, and I also have a regular fracture. So I really did a number on my foot. So what they're going to do is, or what they did, have already done, and I don't know if the video shows this, but they put a cast on my foot, and I get it off on April 13th. So you will be seeing me for 2 classes worth in this cast before I get it off, unfortunately. But maybe, who knows, if you feel like it, you might want to sign my cast. But anyway, thank you all for those of you who prayed. I really, really appreciate it a whole lot. So before I get to your career research project, let me just say a few words about the Week 10 PowerPoint. So it covers trusting God. So if you want to be encouraged, take a look at those verses. And then it covers the Jerry Falwell Library. And I'm pretty sure you know most of what the slides say about what's in the Jerry Falwell Library, but I really, really encourage you to take a look at the library website. It really has so much more information to offer than just even what the slides say. It has so many resources for how to format your papers correctly, for how to find the right sources for whatever particular research project you're working on. Just so many resources. So please, please check that out if you have any kind of research assignment that you are working on for any of your classes. And then the third thing is test-taking anxiety and test-taking skills. So I would check that out, that part of the slide. I highly recommend it. The test-taking strategy part especially do have really, really good information that I didn't even think about myself in terms of strategizing on how to do well on tests. So check that out if you have an upcoming test or upcoming exam that you have to study for. And really take a look at the ones in particular that have the blue strip across the top of each slide, and those have some really, really great ideas on them. So make sure you check that out. And then time management is the final thing that the slides cover. We've already covered time management a whole lot, so I don't think you need to look at that anymore. But remember, the course creator writes the final exam in this class, which covers all of the PowerPoints. So you are going to want to watch, you are going to want to review all your PowerPoint slides before the final exam so you can do well on the test and maybe use some of those test-taking strategies that are in the Week 10 PowerPoint. Okay, just some encouragement about the stages of the career research project before I get into the Week 10 assignment. Please make sure that you are reviewing my feedback on the week 8 assignment before you submit the week 9 assignment, and review my feedback on the week 9 assignment before you submit the week 10, okay? Because I'm trying to give you feedback at each stage along this process of writing this research paper so you don't submit something that will take a lot of points away. So, with week 8, you were submitting the research question and the search terms. Please make sure you look at my feedback on that, because you might need to revise your research question or change your search terms, or even your goals, though I don't think many of you needed to change your goals. But do look at my feedback on that before you go ahead and find sources on something that you might need to change, to a different topic. And then in that same vein, make sure that you review my week 9 feedback before you start writing your rough draft, because I might tell you that you need to find sources that are more credible, which, speaking of which, let me go ahead and also talk about finding credible sources for your topic. Many of you have topics that may not require scholarly academic resources that you would find at the library, because your topic isn't scholarly and academic. It may just be that you're researching some aspect of a career that wouldn't be written about in academic journals, or even necessarily published in ebooks or regular books. So in that case, you are free to use Google, but you will have to make sure that any sources that you find on Google are credible sources written by an author that is known to be an expert in that field. So whether it's put out there by an organization that are known to be experts in the field, or a single person or a group of people, you have to know who the author is, and you have to know that they are an expert in the field that you're researching, and an expert that can speak to the research question for which you're searching for answers. That's very, very important. So if you run across, a resource that doesn't have an author to it, or is just some person who posted something out there on a blog, who is trying to, become whatever type of career it is that you're striving toward, then that's not a good source. So I do need to know, if you use web sources that you found on Google, you need to include a link to that for me so I can verify that it's a credentialed, credible, expert in the field type of source. Otherwise, if you just give me a title, you don't give me a link to the resource, there's no author involved. If I can't locate that source anywhere, I'm going to tell you that you can't use it. So please, again, all that to say, make sure that you're finding credentialed sources, and make sure that you are citing only ones that have authors, and that those authors are experts in the field. Make sure that you're reviewing my feedback in each section along the way. I wanted to remind you of that before we get to the week 10 explanation, which we're getting to right now. So I will go ahead and switch my screen to screen share so you can view what I'm viewing, and then I'll go back to video mode shortly here. All right, I will talk to you in a moment. Okay, so this is a discussion of the week 10 assignment that will be due next Tuesday night by midnight, March 31st. Okay, so the week 9 assignment is what's due Tuesday night at midnight, and that would be Tuesday night, yes, the 24th is when week 9 assignment is due. Week 10 assignment that I'm about to talk about, the actual research paper, is due Tuesday night, midnight, March 31st. So don't get confused. So week 8 assignment you had to turn in by midnight the 17th. Week 9 is due midnight the 24th, and then week 10 is due midnight the 31st of March. Okay, so hopefully there's no confusion about that. So when you're ready to go in and start working on your the research project part 3, which is your final paper, you'll go to course content, you'll click on week 10, and then you'll open the Information Literacy Career Research Project part 3 document, which I believe I already have open. Yes. So here it is. And basically it's a rough draft and a final draft, and you will only submit the final draft. So step 1 is to write a first draft. You never, ever, ever, folks, promise you want to submit a first draft of your paper. You always want to go back and revise. So try to allow yourself time to do that for all of your papers, not just for this class, so that you aren't submitting a first draft and therefore getting a lower score on it. Because as you will see when we take a look at the rubric momentarily, this paper is worth 100 points, meaning 1 letter grade in the class. So you do want to do well on this. So your first draft, you'll have an introduction where right here, as it says, you'll describe the career field or service area in which you're interested, introduce an issue with that field. So whatever it is that your research question that you said you were going to write about, make sure that that issue or ethical problem or economic challenge or whatever it is that you're looking into, make sure that you introduce that issue and that problem that faces practitioners in your field. So you're not asking a question in your introduction. So your research question was only helping you to think in terms of what research you would be doing and what issue you would be exploring. But in your introduction, you'll need to put it in there as a statement rather than a question. So you won't actually be asking a question in your introduction. Instead, you'll be saying, this is one of the issues that faces people who take on this particular challenge, or, finding out what training is required is sometimes challenging in this field, or, whatever it is that you are trying to find out, don't put it in the form of a question. Okay, and then on to the body of your paper. Hey, you're going to use at least 3 sources to discuss various elements. Now, notice at least 3. So you can use more sources, but make sure that your paper is not just a string of quotes either. And as I said before in this video, make sure that you have credible sources. So I would stick as close to as you can to 3, but if you want to use, 4 or 5, if you find that more helpful, that's fine too. So the body of your paper should show that you are aware of various ways someone might deal with the issues or the question or the problem that you are researching. So just different ways to deal with it or approach it, or different aspects of training, or different ways the technology has changed, or various solutions, or however you want to term it, however best fits your topic. That's how the paper should be organized. Okay, and then your conclusion should summarize all the points that you've made and then evaluate, okay, what would be the best approach to handle this issue or to face this problem or to take advantage of these technology changes or whatever the situation might be. And so that's what you would do to sum up. So notice step 2, you will want to polish your paper. Definitely revise. The paper represents you, your goals, your thoughts. It represents Jesus Christ too, if you're a believer. So you want it to represent the best effort that you can make. And that goes for all your papers. So make sure you read this little blurb, but as you revise your paper, there's some things listed. It's sort of like a 1, 2, 3, 4 checklist of things that you should check for to make sure that you've done well. Stay within, please, I'm begging you, because I will have 90 of these to grade. Stay within 700 to 800 words. So we're talking about maybe a 3-page paper here, maybe on to 3.5 pages, but please no more than 4 pages of text. Don't go over into page 5. So including your introduction, body, and conclusion, it should be 700 to 800 words. It should be double spaced. It should be in MLA or APA format. Don't do a combination of the two. You can use Turabian if you're a religion major or a history major and you're used to using that format, but for the most part, hopefully you guys will stick to MLA or APA. So make sure that your paper is properly formatted with your name, section number at the top. Now, number 3 is very important, clarity and content. Make sure that you are as grammatically correct as you possibly can get. If you've got to go to the writing center, they take walk-ins, both in the library and over in Green Hall. So you might stop by there and have someone take a look at it for grammar if you feel like that's one of your weaknesses. Also, make sure that your paper is well organized. So you're going to make sure that you have transitions between ideas, that each paragraph only discusses one main idea. Okay, a paragraph only discusses one main idea. So the first sentence in the paragraph ought to state whatever the rest of the paragraph is going to be about, and then all of the other sentences in that paragraph support and develop that one main idea, including your source quotes, and then you wrap up that paragraph with sort of a transitional phrase or idea that summarizes that paragraph and moves to the next idea. Same thing goes for each paragraph. So you want it well organized so that it flows really well and it's unified. And all your paragraphs should directly go toward developing whatever your main issue is that you said you were going to write about or explore in your paper. So it's really important, grammar, organization, and all of that. And then point 4, remember what you learned earlier about citing your sources. You should talk about, the source's credentials as you introduce the source and what they said. Make sure the comment being made by the source quote, fits in with what you're the point that you're trying to make or research or find out about. And then after the quote, you should also, again, comment on it, something starting in other words, this person, this credentialed expert is saying, such and such about airline pilots or such and such about youth pastors or whatever. So sort of reinterpret the quote for us and show how it fits into your exploration, and then you move on to your new topic. Okay, so make sure that you are citing your sources in the body of the paper, meaning you've got to have page numbers or author name or whatever it is in parentheses after the quote. Make sure that if you're using direct wording, so the source's exact wording, it goes in quotation marks. If you're paraphrasing, make sure that you give a signal phrase. Remember we talked about that in class. You have to say something like according to so and so, and you're introducing your source to show where the source material begins, even if you're putting it into your own words. So please remember all of these things as you write your paper. Go back and review this video if you need to, because you'll lose points if you don't do that. And then step 3, of course, save the best version of your paper as one Microsoft Word document. Save it to your desktop or your hard drive, and then you're going to go back to your Week 10 folder. Under course content, you're going to click in there, and then you're going to go to the blue link, which is the assignment submission link. And then you are going to scroll down and click Browse My Computer so you can find that document you just saved, the best version, and you are going to submit it. Now, you can click here to view the rubric. Again, there's 100 points possible. And as you see here, you're going to be graded on content and research. Okay, you're going to be graded on communication skills, which has to do with the organization and the grammar that I mentioned, and then your critical thinking skills. If you show evidence of sustained and rigorous thought about your goals and the issues that affect your goals, the paper's clear, confident, and interesting, formatted properly, your points clear throughout. Okay, so this encompasses a lot: grammar, formatting, length, communication skills, and then your research, if you thoughtfully developed a research project around your career goals. So that is what you will be graded on. So take a look at that. Listen again to everything that I said you need to do in terms of polishing your paper, and just make sure that you have all of those aspects in there, and I will promise to give you very good feedback for whatever score that you end up earning on this paper. Again, please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help. All right, back to the video where I will close out and say farewell. Okay, so now that you know what to do for your Week 10 assignment, let me go ahead and close out the video with mentioning what you need to do in order to earn attendance credit for having watched this video. So make sure that you email me one thing I mentioned in the first 2 minutes of the video, one thing I mentioned about the Week 10 PowerPoint slides, and then one thing I mentioned about the Week 10 assignment. And if you email me those 3 things in one email, you will receive credit for attending the March 25th class or watching the March 25th video. All right. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your prayers for my foot. And I also will be praying for you as well as you work on this assignment and all the other assignments that you have to do. Oh, and P.S., if you need to change your topic between Week 8 and Week 9, or between Week 9 and Week 10, don't feel like you have to redo any parts of the assignment. Don't feel like you even have to email me, but just make sure that your topic is clear, like I talked about when I went over the assignment. Make sure that your topic and the issue that you're exploring is clear in your introduction, and that'll be enough for me. All right? Thank you guys, and I will see you on April 1st.